crew of us kids, and the millions listening live around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready for Around the Table.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to Roundtable Wrestling. I am one of your hosts, Keith the Wild Man Miller. And with me is Pablo Chino Aquino.
Skibbity Wrestling, everybody.
And David D'Lo Logan.
What it is, dummies. That's a
And,
term of endearment, dummy. That's a term of endearment in my city. It's a term of endearment.
Yeah.
That means I rock with you, dummy. That means I rock with
Man.
you.
Sounds like there's a lot of interesting things going on in your city. And Brent, the Nightmare Ward, will be joining us shortly.
As he gets spooked.
With the nice Wyatt 6 background.
As he gets spooked.
Indeed. But while we're waiting for him to hop on, let's just go ahead and talk about some of the news that happened this week.
Out the gate is crazy.
Out the gate starting spicy.
Out the gate is crazy.
You know, at Roundtable Wrestling,
hop on. Good Lord.
Don't double down.
Bang.
All right.
All right.
Speaking of, I'd say let's get over some of the things that we want to get out of the way just to say, and then we can get to the talking point stuff that we actually have, good
little spice,
good bant about, as they say in the UK, good bant. I was told I had good bant on a date yesterday. It was pretty nice.
Nice. Hey, congratulations.
Hey, shout out to Riz. Hey.
I haven't been on a date in 20 years.
Well, that's a good thing, because
if anybody wants to take me on a date.
Oh, okay. There you
Anybody? All right.
Now market.
Bumble.com. All right.
Hey now.
So Tony Khan,
Mm-hmm.
which is always a polarizing name to say on any platform now, thanks Christopher Daniels after his final match.
Mm-hmm.
So saying that he's already had his final match, there's no.
Yeah, I mean, he also said he had his final match. I mean, it was
final match in AEW or final match just ever?
Final match, period.
Oh my!
Yeah, he's gone, dude. Yeah, that match with Adam Page.
Yeah, that was the end of it.
Yep, it's over.
Hey, it's a good one to go out with a bang.
Right.
I wish Jeff Jarrett would just do the same thing, but that's a whole nother thing.
Right.
Yeah, they're using it to kind of soften Adam Page up a little bit too, like they used it in part angle. I mean,
Definitely.
All right.
So it's going to carry on. It's
don't turn babyface.
Yeah, Christopher Daniels is one of the greatest wrestlers ever.
For decades.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say, I wanted to mention, it was like he was one of the pioneers of the old TNA when it started on Spike TV, obviously being all around the world, ROH, having done a lot of indie and
I know this is supposed to just be the stuff that we're mentioning, but man, that's a big thing to just kind of gloss over. Like Christopher Daniels,
right.
Anytime someone would ask me who my favorite wrestler was, like currently competing, Christopher Daniels, no matter how old he got, was always in the running. I mean, dudes, especially for a guy who never competed in WCW or WWE, really, I mean, he was a TNA guy all the way. The legend that he built up, the career that he had, it's pretty special, man.
Yeah, we shout out to him and his gracious exit, and obviously I imagine he'll be doing some more backstage work and
I'm sure he's like an
still
agent
produce
now
and
at this
promote.
point. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Kazarian's pretty broke up about it.
Of course, that's his boy.
Yeah,
Boy, that's this guy.
he just signed a new contract to at TNA to keep wrestling. He signed a new wrestling contract, and so for Daniels to hang it up right when he signs a new contract, like it was, he made a post about it and stuff, and put up pictures of all the stuff that they've done together. It was pretty dope.
Shout out to the legacy of a great wrestler, a showman, a stand-up guy.
The
Speaking
original
of,
Rick General.
yes, Ring General. The original, can we even say he was the original BME? Because now
I think so.
he passed it down to Jacob Fatu and Tiffany Stratton pretty much because they do it weekly.
Fast moves forever. Oh, so, yeah. Well, I had to think about some BME. Yeah.
It's impressive when Jacob Fatu does it because of size and all of that, and Tiffany does it pretty well when she lands it well.
Yeah, I think that what made Daniels moonsault so good was like he damn near turned himself into a circle when he did it. You know what I mean? Like it was more than just him flipping backwards and laying out. He did a whole freaking arc with it. It looked super cool, man.
It was cool.
Yeah.
CD, we got one for you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of people that are well respected that are leaving, Hulk Hogan.
He'll say that.
We like to do the funny segues there. By the way, let's give a warm welcome to Brent, the Nightmare Ward.
Hello, everyone.
What's up,
hey,
Brent?
welcome.
Thank you.
Representing his Jaguars with their fifth pick.
And new hire. Y'all got a new coach.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dude, not to get too much into other sports, but since you brought up the Jaguars, Pistons are on fire, baby.
Oh, yeah, he won 3 in a row. I'm covered. I'm saying, Detroit basketball.
I was gonna say, at least the Jaguars are somewhat a wrestling talk because of who owns them.
Yeah.
Well,
Pistons are somewhat a wrestling talk because they used to be the bad boys and used to beat people up.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Shout out to them for being over 500.
Dennis Rodman. But yeah, man, they've been kicking some ass lately.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Kate, man.
Yeah, Kate Cunningham. He's got a new logo, and it looks badass. The 2 C's making a star.
I did. I actually did like that shit hard.
Its new logo's killer, dude. All right, anyway, sorry. I love the Pistons, man. I got to work it in. We've been killing it.
I'll mention that I'll preface that I was being facetious when I mentioned the Hulk Hogan and leaving gracefully.
Graceful? Ooh. Hogan and graceful?
Man.
Actually, Brent, do you want to talk about what CM Punk said while I go get a water?
Oh.
He needs some water. Yeah. I had to get out of this Hogan situation.
He needs some milk.
No, he needs some milk.
Yeah, CM Punk. Wow. Yeah, he put Hogan on blast.
Yeah, throw his ass over the top rope. Hell yeah.
Yeah, he said he'd throw his old ass over the top rope.
And in Hulkamania, baby.
Yeet. Yeah,
man. I mean, hey, Johnny Boston's coming.
Hey.
Right.
We get a little Bostonia.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
Welcome the Bostonian to the chat, to the podcast, to the radio
His
show.
audio is probably still connecting. Zoom is notorious for that.
Yeah, it was on.
And welcome all of you listening.
Indeed,
shout out.
and listening live on Kish Radio, baby.
Exactly. Home of the greats.
Yes, sir.
Which apparently I was told is not a humble way of saying things.
Hulk Hogan is one of the greats.
Hey, let's take that down a notch.
Yeah.
I just thought.
I mean,
I was about to say,
whether we want to admit it or not, kind
one of the goods.
One of the great.
One of the goods.
This make it sound like a merchandise.
I mean, that dude was my childhood hero. It is personal, man. That dude was everything to me when I was 6. Now
Right.
he's become a cartoon character of himself that's just laughable.
A little bit.
Again, the ultimate irony to me, I can't lie, is say your prayers and take your vitamins turned into drink my beer and watch Netflix. Real quick.
Yeah, dude. Buy my beer and watch Netflix.
So I'm Johnny Boston. Good morning.
Good morning.
man.
Good morning.
Did we mention CM Punk yet? I know I took a quick.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Is this just something to get some heat? Is that what
Dude,
it is, or are we
heat?
actually?
Hulk Hogan can't be in the Royal Rumble because you can't win. You can't go over the top rope.
He can't even
Yeah.
physically be
He'll
in there.
break
I don't
his
think
hip.
he can get in the ring without help.
Yeah.
At this point.
Right.
It's not even a knock.
So it's
so many
it's just CM
surgeries
Punk,
and advanced
tapping into
age.
what people are feeling.
But what gets me with that is Punk's on fire right now. He didn't need that kind of heat.
But
My
why not?
concern is how much heat is he going to get from backstage?
Oh, dude, I don't think
I don't
anybody
think he'll
likes
get
Hogan
any.
anymore.
Nowadays, no. Maybe back in the day when like Undertaker and all of them were the locker room leaders and they were like, you can't talk about Vince like this, or you can't talk about this like this, all of that.
Right.
Well, I would
Speaking
hope
of,
that.
yep.
I would hope that even those guys wouldn't be that tone deaf.
I mean,
You know what
let's
I mean?
not forget that Ron and Don Harris still own Anthem.
You know.
Well, very much so.
You know. So
I was gonna say
what? Their partnering back up with WWE doesn't surprise me, given that fact alone.
Yeah.
Look who's in charge of WWE.
I was gonna mention other person that cannot be in the Royal Rumble. Malachi Black.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying, but you never know.
Is there a 90-day clause when it comes to AEW? I know WWE used to do that.
I don't know. I feel
know.
like
I know TNA got rid of that a while ago.
Yeah.
I feel like even the Alexa Bliss thing could be a work. They feed false stuff to the media at Royal Rumble time.
Yeah, always.
Constantly. I'm seeing people that are asking for Flair and Hacksaw Jim Duggan to be in the Rumble, and that kills it. I could see Hacksaw, not Flair.
Being the first one to win it, Hacksaw,
yeah. I can see Hacksaw because he can still go. He can at least get in the damn ring.
Yeah.
I don't think Flair or Hogan are in any kind of shape to be doing anything physical.
What I would love is if Hacksaw comes, he brings the 2x4 and just starts hitting everybody, and then he gets DQ'd, and he's like, "Wait, what? Like, what do you mean?
You can't get DQ'd.
This is my thing."
So everybody remembers that Hacksaw won the original Royal Rumble. Does anybody remember who he eliminated last?
Was it Big John Studd?
It was One Man Gang.
Well, One Man Gang. Yeah.
Oh.
One Man Gang ran at him. He pulled the rope down. Gang fell out.
Can literally see it now, but for some reason, my brain just went, "Oh, Big John Studd."
And that's just off memory, dude. That's from watching it when I was 12. However freaking old I was. I mean, man.
One of my earliest memories of a WrestleMania match was King Kong Bundy versus Hillbilly Jim. And with the each of them had 3 little people in their corner. And
sure.
No, I remember that.
And Bundy beat the hell out of all of them
that ensued in that match were beautiful. Beautiful and glorious. 6 little people ganging up on King Kong Bundy was not on my bingo card when I was like 6 years old, but I was so happy to see it.
I remember Roddy Piper giving Mr. T a airplane spin in their boxing match.
Oh my goodness!
Like, what? It's like, why?
Yep.
That sounds gross.
You're absolutely right. That definitely happened.
Because the first WrestleMania I didn't get to watch until much later because it was like there was no pay-per-view back then. It was on closed circuit TV, and
isn't it strange?
I watched it on VHS tape. I think way after it originally aired. But
it's strange to me how far they've come because they still occasionally involve a celebrity or two in each WrestleMania. But that first one especially was just loaded with celebrities. I mean, front to back. And I think that's part of what drove WWE and wrestling into the mainstream in the 80s is they had so much other celebrity support. And nowadays it's almost like, I'm just taking a paycheck to go on a pay-per-view and talk for 3 minutes. I don't know anything about wrestling. I'm a comedian. I have no idea why I'm even here, but they wanted me here, so I'm taking the check. And that's what it kind of – I think the last real celebrity that kind of put some effort into being there, even though it was brief, was I'd have to say Drew Carey.
Interesting. Well,
I mean, nothing Pete Rose gave
That's
100% every time he came in and got tombstoned. But
Well, because he bet himself getting tombstoned.
Right.
Oh,
I'm saying not to quote the devil, but Vince McMahon said that in the beginning they needed celebrities to elevate WrestleMania and to bring it into the public eye and to get buys.
Not
And he
anymore.
said, but now the celebrities need us. He said people contact him every year wanting to be a part of WrestleMania. And obviously this was when he was still in charge.
Oh yeah.
So now they have their pick of celebrities who are like, can we do this?
Right, absolutely.
So it's a different deal now.
I guess that's
Yeah,
why Lil
it's-
Wayne came out and did that horrible performance, because he wanted to show that he was good enough to do the Super Bowl, and then he showed that he was bad enough to not.
Yeah, Little Wayne is freaking terrible.
I was going to segue from one person known for making racist statements to another,
All right, let's do it.
because I'm so good at segue. I'm the segue king.
Yeah.
Tessa Blanchard was having her match against Jordan Grace, and there was an absolutely loud, just absolutely devastating "she's a racist" chant that just, and she was before that, all the boos, all the stuff, she was 100% egging it on. She's like, I am the heel.
Yeah.
But that looked like it hit different.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
That hit down into the soul a little bit.
I haven't seen a crowd that unforgiving since the ECW audience in the ECW arena.
When John Cena?
You don't see. Oh my God! I didn't even think of that. I was thinking the old days, but yeah, absolutely. When they threw the shirt back, that was legendary.
Oh my goodness!
He couldn't keep that shirt in the audience to save his life.
He threw the shirt back.
Maybe don't be.
I still remember the sign: "If Cena wins, we riot."
Yeah,
and
it's one of the most iconic.
That's that audience that she was up against that night. They were not having it. They were not happy to see her. And when she won, they let her have it.
Yep.
And you know, a small part of it, I think, goes hand in hand with the Hulk Hogan thing. People are
for sure.
People are sick of racists.
Yeah,
well, I mean, it's a crazy concept.
Unless he's the president.
Yeah, don't let's not. Ooh.
Another WWE Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I want to fight about that and punch faces. But for right now, let's stick to the talent at hand, and let's not think of punching their faces, because most of them could bench press us.
Yeah, maybe don't be a pampered nepo baby who freaking says the N-word, you know, and you won't get those chants.
Yeah,
you know
and again, not for nothing. It doesn't make it any more right. But if she had said that in some sort of defensive way against someone her own goddamn age, I wouldn't be as butthurt about it. She did that to a kid.
Oh,
she did that to, what was she, 19?
Something like
La Rosa Negra?
Yeah.
She did that to a kid, man.
Ironically, if I can mention this, La Rosa Negra actually had she got turned. Her tag team partner turned on her that same week. So recently, literally, that just happened. I know.
Damn.
I mean, actually, this week that just passed in NWA Power, her and her tag team partner, they got into it.
Man.
Well, the Tessa thing was inevitable. It wouldn't have mattered if she would have waited as long as she did, or 10 years from now. She would have still got the same reaction.
She didn't nip it in the bud when it happened. She didn't apologize when it happened. She tried to sweep it under the rug and just hope the ignorant masses would forget.
Nepo babies. That's what we're talking about.
Spoiled, dude. Spoiled brat, man.
You know, I'm not a fan of
dad's old gimmick,
wrestling, but it is.
I didn't even do that on purpose, but
there is something special about a second or third or fourth generation superstar that is good at their craft. There just is. But you know, there's only so much the public is willing to take. And, you know, not for nothing, we live in pretty brutal times. You already mentioned, you know, the tippity top of the country is kind of part of the problem. So I don't know, maybe the Harris brothers or Tessa just felt empowered that people would ignore it. Yeah. They were wrong. Whatever gamble they played, they were wrong. The people were there for it. And to be honest, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. I can be proud of being a wrestling
very
fan
much so.
right now. You know, it's.
So did you guys see the the Jordan Grace farewell video?
No.
No, I hadn't checked that out.
Okay, so after Jordan's backstage, after Jordan's match, they had a cake for her and everybody kind of clapped. They gave her a giant TNA knockout belt and proclaimed her the forever champion. And then Alicia Edwards smushed a cake in her face.
Ah!
But Tessa Blanchard was right there at the front of the video clapping for Jordan Grace.
That's
she didn't
weird.
hug her. She didn't say anything, but I'm wondering if that was like placement. You know,
I
if
imagine
they
so.
put her right there. Like, see, Tessa's not that bad. You know,
What was she doing that wasn't that bad? She was
just acknowledging
you
Jordan
know what I
Grace.
mean?
You know what I mean? Like,
she didn't build an orphanage in Africa. I don't want to hear it.
right.
Acknowledge
you know
her.
what I mean? Like, I get what you're saying, and you're definitely right.
It's going to take her a long time. A very long time.
Dude, that belt that they gave Jordan is bigger than her. You should check it out. They tried putting it on her,
and then
tried putting it on her, and it was huge. Like, it looked like it was going to fall off.
That's awesome.
Maybe she'll wear it at the Royal Rumble.
Hey, yeah.
Also, I do like the fact that we had
as a weapon at the Rumble.
I do like the fact that we had a conversation about clapping and cake in the face.
Hey, now.
Me too.
I'm a connoisseur.
And Alicia Edwards was involved, putting
Alicia
cake
Edwards,
in the face.
yes.
On my bingo card,
she doesn't have a lot to clap, but I mean,
that's a wild statement.
Super cute.
Shout out to C Tier.
Yeah, I didn't know
David knows what I'm talking about. David knows what I'm talking about.
Lucky dude.
What I am going to talk about right now, though, is that it was announced, I believe, in the GCW event that Janela is retiring Sabu at what I believe to be Janela's spring break, because he said in the spring.
Right.
So that is another person that it's amazing that he retired after Christopher Daniels.
Yeah.
But somebody that's going out to pasture, as they say in the wrestling community. Janela, I imagine, is going to choreograph a very wild, very violent.
There shall be blood.
I imagine so.
All I can really say about Sabu is I'm surprised he's retiring at all.
Right.
I feel like he's had the business in his blood since birth, and would literally, if it were an option, I think he would die in that ring.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of people would.
A lot of people would, right? And
I think Flair wants to.
I don't want to see Ric Flair die in the ring.
Right.
I don't want to, and I didn't realize how close we were to seeing that in his last match, but he apparently had a heart attack. But
during the match,
I don't want to see that happen to anybody.
Yeah,
but I'll be honest with you. If I did see it happen and it was Sabu, I'd feel like I was a part of history, because that's probably exactly how he would like to go out.
Go out on your sword,
It's weird, my thing is, say that. I don't want to see anybody die. You know, what I mean? I've seen enough people die. But
these guys aren't freaking samurais.
No, exactly. No,
and if you're wrestling somebody and they die, like, I'm sure Rey Mysterio still feels that.
Oh, he has to lose sleep over that.
It's not something that you.
No, it's not something you forget. But my fondest memory of Sabu, I have two. Both are from the two ECW shows I saw him at. The first one, I was front row, and he got in my face and started cussing me out. So my buddy behind me puts his arm over my shoulder and flips Sabu the Bird. Right over my shoulder, and just shoves it in Sabu's face. So Sabu probably thought it was me. Sabu shoved me and then threw his headdress at me. And I caught it. I caught it immediately, and just like I was holding the pot of gold. Like, I didn't know what to do with it.
You could have sold that.
Them huge security guards that you see at every ECW show, one of them
took
reached
that
his
back.
basketball player, like 7-foot wingspan arm right over like 4 people, snatched it out of my hands. And like the next thing I know, security is pushing me back because they don't want Sabu to kill me. So because my friend flipped him off. And the other memory I have is of him doing a moonsault off the top rope, and the table all right. Sandman was on a table. When Sandman got off the table got flipped completely upside down. So when Sabu did his moonsault at the exact same time,
no.
he landed on his jaw, right under his lip, on the point of his jaw, on a table leg. And when I tell you, you could hear and see it. I was in the 4th row, 5th row for that one. When I tell you could hear and see his lower mandible snap in half,
Crack.
I promise you that is exactly what I saw.
That's
And
wild.
he was spitting blood and teeth, and he went into the back with an EMT, and he came back about a minute later with a roll of
I remember that. I remember when he came back out with his jaw wrapped up. Yep, I remember that.
Head together. I was at that show.
Yep, I remember that.
Dude, duct taping his head back together.
Yep.
Got in the ring, did another 10 minutes a match.
That's nice.
I remember that.
That's crazy.
And that's why I say, dude, his very first match alongside his uncle, he almost died. It was an Inferno match where they didn't know how much kerosene to add to the ropes. So they added all of it.
Just
so
enough or
within
not
the
at all?
first minute, all 4 wrestlers and the ref almost died.
Right.
So that's the only reason I say seeing him die would hit different, because he almost is our modern day Gladiator. He does all of this to himself because he loves it, but because he loves us. And it's a beautiful thing that he does, and I'm glad that he's unique. I'm so glad that he's unique and that he's one of a kind, because if not, there'd be just so many more mutilated young wrestlers out there.
We love him for it.
So I have a personal Sabu story. You hear a lot of different things about Sabu, about like his generosity and about him being kind of a douchebag.
Right.
You get both. You get both. You know what I mean? So I got to witness both in the same night. Like,
why not be both?
I was hanging out with him at a show in Granite City, and we went over the border to St. Louis to a strip club that was owned, well, not owned by the promoter, but the promoter worked at the strip club. Screw it, dude. I'm going to say names. Why not? So the promoter was John Pee Wee Moore. So you guys remember Pee Wee?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we went to the strip club. It was a penthouse club in St. Louis that Pee Wee owned. And
shout out to strip clubs,
or not owned, but worked at. As we were walking in, there was a vendor selling pulled pork sandwiches out in the parking lot. Right.
Ew.
Sabu gets there. He stops for a pulled pork sandwich, and he turns and looks at us. It was me and a few other wrestlers with like barbecue sauce dripping down his freaking arm. This giant pulled pork sandwich. He takes a bite out of it and then says, "You guys want one?" And we were all like, "Hey, Sabu, no thanks." You know what I mean? And then we go in. He orders us all a round of drinks. We're hanging out. We're drinking. It's fun, you know. Me, CJ Otis, the Soul Shooters, and Sabu. And then orders us a second round of drinks. But then you can tell that he's starting to get kind of irritated. So he asks one of the girls to get Pee Wee. Pee Wee comes over, and Pee Wee was like, "Hey, where are the girls?" And Pee Wee was like, "Look, man, they're doing their jobs. We're trying to send them over here, but none of them really want to come over." We were in the VIP section, but I think we looked like, you know, crazy freaking wrestling dudes.
Very
intimidating.
So
like, yeah. None of the girls wanted to come over. And Sabu was like, "Look, Pee Wee, you promised me there was going to be girls. And the only reason I'm in this club is because you told me, and screw it, I'm just going to say it, man. You told me that I could get a blowjob."
Nah.
He was like, "If you don't get some girls over here, I'm leaving." He was like, "They should be over here with us. We are the stars." Like, he was so pissed. And Pee Wee could not get any girls to come over. And he was kind of stammery, like, "I'm sorry, Sabu." And Pee Wee and CJ Otis, for those of you who don't know, CJ Otis was trained by Dan Severn and Sabu. He never really broke, but he was a great freaking wrestler. Did some tours in Japan and stuff. But he was like, "CJ, come on, let's go." And CJ grabbed Sabu's stuff, and they went back to the hotel. And the Soul Shooters and I stayed and continued to get drunk and get some lap dances and have a good time.
They came after you after Sabu left? They
only came to sell us stuff. Like, they came to, you know, we kind of had to flag them down. We kind of had to flag them down, dude. Like, like I sort of started it. There was a girl who had some very impressive plastic surgery, really hot black chick, and I was just like staring her down. And she came over and was like,
with the fakies.
"Yeah," she was like, "I saw you looking at me. What were you looking at me for?"
What
And I
were
was
you
like, "Man, the
looking
shape
at
of
me
your,"
for?
I was like, "The shape of your body is amazing." And she was like, "You want to go get a lap dance?" And I was like, "Of
Girl-
course I do."
Girl,
She was like, so we went into the private room and had a good time.
girl,
But
the
yeah.
back of your head look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, work that updo. By the way, so anybody else have a
Have a Sabu story that's
Sabu
20
story
minutes long.
before we move on to other
Hey.
people breaking things in their
Just
in
a
matches?
real quick one. I did talk to him extensively on Twitter about 10 years ago and actually got the chance to apologize for pissing him off that night, and he accepted
that's
it.
hilarious.
And what scared me is he
was
remembered
probably-
me in detail.
Did he? I
Dude, he
figured
remembered me in detail like 20 years after the fact, dude. Let me tell you, I am
Man.
glad I am off whatever list is in his head.
He just made the list.
He made the list.
He remember your ass.
You don't want to
That's
be
funny.
on the you don't want
He
to be
was
on the
on
crap
his way to
list
Boston, dude. He was
Nah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
you know what I
behind
mean?
this
Like he
mother.
was
of
packing-
somebody who wields a bat with barbed wire around it. You don't want to be
Yeah.
on their crap list.
No.
I was gonna say I wanted
Right.
to segue from breaking bones to somebody else who unfortunately broke a bone. I will preface that this was part of the People versus GCW event
Fancy.
that happened this last week.
It was a
Yeah,
great
and,
name for an event.
Hey, well, amiga.
It ended up leading to a win by TKO, or what do you call it? But
Yeah, referee stoppage.
Yeah.
so there was a match between Ali Catch, who came out with the Madonna shooting nipple guns against her
Madonna.
against her former tag partner Effie, and the
Right.
winner would fight Mance Warner for the championship later that night. And
Speaking of Mance, by
pretty-
God, Warner.
Yeah, pretty much early into the match, she does a dive.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the kind of dive because I think it's something you shouldn't say on YouTube.
Oh,
So
sewer
face-
slide.
Yeah,
Tope Super.
exactly. You said in Spanish, so
Tope Suicida.
yeah. So she does it through the middle rope, and it looks very unassuming, but apparently the way she landed, she ended up landing on her feet
Right.
and
Right.
complete break of her right leg.
I mean,
Or was it left or something like I was
I think it was the
watching
left
that
leg.
thing.
Looked like the left leg.
Was it?
Watching
Okay.
that thing, I feel like she wasn't super confident in the dive. Like she did it very slow. And then I feel like Effie was not super confident that he could catch her. Because Allie Catch is good looking, man, but she's a thick chick.
Yes,
You
she
know?
is. With many C's.
And so I think that and if you watch, he just
Right.
kind of put his arms on her and set her down instead of falling with her.
Which led to there being
And
bad angle,
complete
broken
break.
leg.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not for nothing, we've been seeing a lot of that with Penta since he got to WWE. Like somebody said it the other day, and I agree. Catch him.
I wonder how hard it is that Penta works right sometimes. Because that last match, he worked the right leg a little bit. Probably because he's from Mexico. For those of you who don't pay enough attention in wrestling, in North American wrestling, you work left. In Mexico, you work right, which basically just means you stay on the left side of the body. You work left limbs. You hold a headlock on your left side. But in Mexico, they do the other. And Penta has a tendency to switch back and forth. And I just wonder if that confuses people or if they're pros enough that they can go with it. Like, it's just a weird thing.
It might confuse people.
Because, I mean, they're exposed to a variety of different
Yeah.
styles, be it
Yeah.
Mexican, American,
Yeah. A lot-
European,
Well,
Japanese.
not only that, he
You got to
probably
be able to flow, you know?
where he can work both sides. He probably asks them what they prefer.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope so.
They
Unless
may
there
be
is
doing
no
it on
translator,
purpose.
of course.
Right.
For the people who can catch it, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, he's doing a little lucha, you know, for the people who actually notice.
Mhm.
And they mentioned it on commentary. They said, oh, he's working on the right leg, like worked on the right leg, injured the right leg, something along those lines. So I didn't think about that. It may be something that they're
Calling the
planting.
moves? That's weird.
So, which
Wade Bear.
the alley catch injury
Yeah,
led to Effie winning and then going on that night to beat Mansvarner for the championship, which makes me think that my prediction of alley catch winning the title would have happened.
Well, yeah, because Mance Warner had to lose.
But he also came out in order to salvage everything. He came out and attacked Effie after the match.
Okay.
And Effie was like, I did nothing wrong and all that. And like, he came out. So it just the way it was built and booked, or it seemed like it just kind of came out of nowhere. But it's a shame, but
yeah,
it is a shame. I like everyone involved, man, and I'm glad they could make it work on the fly, because clearly, anytime anybody gets an injury that grievous during a match, you have to plan everything that happens after that on the fly and just go with
you
it.
run in the back and you're just like, okay, what are we going to do?
Everyone's instincts. And I'm glad that they didn't come out looking stupid.
Yeah.
They put on a good
thing
end
about
to
it
a show
is
that
like
left the crowd happy, even
Mance,
though the injury was a sour spot,
Yeah, Mance and Effie have very set styles.
Right.
I mean, I like watching both of them, but you kind of know what you're getting when you watch either one of them wrestle.
Effie throws some curveballs though. Like he's good.
Yeah, but he's also has enough of a gimmick that he can work a really gimmicky match if he has to.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we wish a speedy recovery to Alley Catch. Hopefully,
absolutely,
100%.
MJF's former girlfriend, Alley Catch.
Speaking of former girlfriends, my former waifu, Soraya, aka Paige, aka Soraya, because that's a real name. Exactly. Her and Ronnie Radke have broken up, which would have, like I said in the chat before, would have made me happy if Gigi Dolan wasn't a thing.
Good, because I'm friends with her mom, so I already have an in. So to hell with her. I mean, to hell with him.
That counts as an in, brother.
So shout out to them. I hope they go their separate ways and that there's no hard feelings and that everybody can find love again.
Me too, man.
That's
Seems
all
like
I would
people are sick of racist sand pedos. I could be wrong, but
I imagine they're sick of all of those things.
Yeah, Ronnie Radke has, rumors surrounding him.
Oh yeah, he's got groomer rumors, which are the worst kind of rumors. You don't want groomer rumors unless you work with dogs. Then those are okay.
How's it go?
Hey, new AEW tag team champions on D'Lo's background.
Hurt people.
The anger that swells up. That is something that we will talk about. And thank you for putting that, because I didn't not know how to segue between the Ronnie Radke talk and whatever else I was going to mention. Something that I would like to mention, because it's lore and it's something that came up in a rumor, but it was rumored that Bray Wyatt's initial idea of the Wyatt 6 was supposed to be a take from the Court of Owls from
Batman.
DC, from Detective Comics, Batman's. And if you guys don't know much, I'm a very big nerd about that. Exactly, the masks. And then that they were going to have multiple, like I thought Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss would be a part of it at some point. They were going to have like a big, and the Court of Owls is sort of like the Illuminati, even though there is an Illuminati. And so that whole thing where it would have been a nefarious background where like they were saying that one of the commentators would have been like an insider member.
Nice. Corey Graves.
They would have exactly, or Wade Barrett or something.
Instantly comes to mind.
And they would have it would have been really cool. And I obviously we can only think about the what ifs when it comes to somebody who passes too early and too soon. But
nothing but
the
what
mind,
a creative mind.
Exactly. The mind to do all of that, the mind to make the Firefly Funhouse and make all of this work. It was his brainchild,
so smoothly.
Exactly. And it would have been nice because I love references to DC Comics. I love references to mythology, all of these things, and it's great.
I love Easter
Hurricane,
eggs in
baby.
all my media, whether it be wrestling, video games, TV, movies. I love little Easter eggs. You know what I mean? Little goofy stuff like that you don't expect just makes life fun.
Exactly, and that's
And you know, there was one thing he was about was making life fun. As much as he played a creepy character, that dude, give me a break, dude. You had fun when he showed up, no matter which version of him was there. Go back to Husky Harris and tell me his smile didn't put a smile on your face when you watched him.
I think whatever the next,
all of that.
I think whatever the next topic is, we should let Brent and D'Lo talk.
Yeah,
We should give them a little space.
We get a bit ranty on this
The
side.
three of us are kind of like dominating the conversation right now.
Well, this is the part that will become nope. I saw you.
Nah.
This is the part that we will have a bit more long form conversation, because these are the meat and potatoes, it seems like. At least the things that I was interested in.
The stuff that we were supposed to blow through took 43 minutes, by the way.
It's just because that's how it goes. We end up telling stories about people we know and all this fun stuff, but that's the thing that makes this wonderful.
It's good for us.
So I would like to mention that there were those two HOG, Watch the Throne, and the People versus GCW, and there were very good matches on that. They were pretty stacked cards, at least from my point of view.
Yeah.
That is something I will go to later, because I think we have certain things. How do we feel about this new alliance that was made in Japanese wrestling? So if I could preface this, on January 20th, all Japanese pro wrestling companies combined to create United Japan Pro Wrestling. This is something that literally just happened, and it came about when, at least from what I've been reading, it came about during the big pandemic, where there was a summit.
So it's been years
talking about
in the making.
Exactly. It was years in the making, but the formation, it happened mid-December, but it was announced January. So this is going to become a united front, as it says, with Shanshiro Takagi, director, Ryo Saito, executive director. There's a lot of interest in this, considering it's them coming together. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I would say, Brent, since you're on my left, and I kind of want to go in clockwise. Brent, how do you feel about there being a commission? No, we start with Brent today. We start with Brent.
He's way over there on mine. Like, you're right here.
Yeah, I'm starting at 10 o'clock.
Mine doesn't look like that because I'm the host. I literally just get to see whoever's talking.
Y'all are all over the place.
Well, just because I want to hear more of Brent's voice, and we didn't get to hear it last week. Brent, I would like you to talk about how you feel about there being an alliance and a united front in Japan, where
I think it's awesome for Japan. You know what I mean? Like, combining all of them, making one big old fed. Hey, that's amazing stuff right there. How many times can you hear about something like that happening over here? You kind of don't. I mean, it's few and far between. So, I mean, we're talking about the whole country. So, yeah, I think they're gonna get a lot more. I believe they'll be in America a lot more doing this.
Hopefully.
And it's going to be good. I'm not as big of a New Japan or follow it as much as I used to back when I was a little bit younger, but man, there's so many good things come out of Japan, so many good wrestlers. You talk about Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and AJ Styles, all who have wrestled there. So, hey, I'm all aboard.
So if I could preface this really quick before I get to the next person, the promotions then the promotions that are a part of this alliance are as followed. It is Stardom.
Huge.
It is Big Japan Pro Wrestling.
Woo!
Dragon Gate.
Yes.
DDT.
Oh yeah.
Pro Wrestling Noah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And New Japan.
Yeah, I mean that's
So no All Japan.
No All Japan.
no.
Wow.
So I would
That
say
is all Japan. What are you
Right.
talking about?
it pretty much it's the top.
Say
It's the
it,
top
Joe.
6.
And
From in my head, they're the top 6.
I mean,
that's
All
still-
Japan is the granddaddy, though.
That's incredible.
You know, I mean,
you're not wrong.
Not
I'm just-
anymore.
they may have fallen, but they were the ones who All
Yeah.
Japan kind of started pro wrestling in Japan. That's kind of sad
Yeah.
that they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Not
that's
part of it.
still that's a crazy stacked roster. I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing.
I
think
do
it's
too.
an amazing historic thing. My only worry is that it goes the way of the NWO. Too
Hopefully
bloated, too much talent to know what to do
Well,
with.
there's a difference.
Not enough
NWO was
shows,
a
maybe to let's hope they come out strong with 3 or 4 different shows at least, because they're gonna need at least that just to keep up with the amount of talent if everyone wants to get 5 minutes.
Yeah.
NWO was a storyline, and this is,
This is a combined. They
Thank
do
you, Keith.
also.
It was a metaphor. They don't have to be perfect.
Okay, I
Before-
got you, brother.
before I get
was
to-
just trying to make sense of it, and I was like, that doesn't really make sense.
Remember the late
I was like,
NWO when literally everyone was a member?
No, I get what you're saying, but
Okay.
I think
I
think it would work differently, like when they
Before I,
already have their own territories
again, one
and
would
stuff.
hope. My point. All right, let me give it a better metaphor than to ease it into the garage for you. Remember when AEW first started and they had 3 shows and 1 billion wrestlers and couldn't figure out where to put anybody?
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm worried
Oh,
about
yeah.
that.
Kind of like
I'm
the
worried
problem they
about
have now.
them having a
Pretty much so.
kind of like the problem they have now, right?
roster. Well, yeah, that's not you're not wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm worried that they've got a monstrous roster on their hands. So we're either going to see a lot of talent cut, or we're going to have to see a lot of shows explode right out of the gate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all for whatever works. I just don't want to. I don't want to see wrestlers lose opportunities to work. That's all. You know what I mean? That's
One thing I will say
in my book
is that they've already announced that they had it was called All Together, but it was an event that happened in, I think, May last year, but they've been doing it for the last few years, and it's going to be one of the first of their United Japan Pro Wrestling. That's going to be their first titled event.
That's
I
gonna be
suppose.
awesome.
It'll be really nice, but
God, that is such cool news. I hadn't heard anything about that. Now
it was
really
in
looking forward to checking
response.
it out.
It was in response to the earthquake in 2024,
Oh, okay.
and they brought them all together. Those 6,
to
they
have
brought
like a
those 6
benefit.
together. So now, because of that, I suppose they were like, you know what? Maybe we should do. And there were no storylines, no championship matches. It was just a super card.
Right.
Where, like how the CMLL did it with TNA and like some other.
Right.
Exactly. But I just wanted to say that. David, how do you feel about there being a united front in Japan? Do you think that this is going to be something that they want to get in on the fun that's happening in America?
All I say, they matching what America doing with TNA. I'll say,
we need some more.
war on our hands, fellas.
Mhm.
Japan versus America in wrestling, because
But
that's what I feel like. I feel like it's. Then you said the earthquake, so it makes sense why they all come together. Because
TNA had an alliance with a Japanese wrestling company years and years ago, and they
Yeah.
screwed that up. I wonder if AEW will take the opportunity to try and work with these guys and open the forbidden door that way.
I also wonder if they're going to
They
even be
possibly
working
can.
much with New Japan anymore because of this alliance.
Well, that's what I mean. I wonder if they'll
Mhm.
work with the whole alliance. You know what I mean? As opposed to
It would be cool because then but then again, that would also just be a drowning of just talent.
More
It's just
talent,
you're,
yeah.
Right.
you're just shoving people like Private Party and Acclaim
Yeah.
down even further.
right. They don't need
Because
that.
I'd rather see a lot of the tag teams in New Japan over anybody in TNA.
Right.
My goodness.
But
I'd like
TNA
to
is
see
working with WWE,
LIJ
so you
and
gotta
all of
figure
that.
they're not likely to work with, whatever the new Dragon Ball League is called.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball League. No.
Dragon Ball Wrestling, I forget.
What I would like to also, this is one thing that is interesting, right? If you say his name,
he will appear.
He will appear.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and
shit,
I believe,
no.
I hope we all believe, but
That he's gonna appear.
believe
in
it or
Japan.
not, it's finally happened. We did have a JBL sighting,
He
but
did it,
he ended up messing up Kazarian's cash in. I call it that
Right.
because it's the call your shot, where it's
Right.
literally a cash in. But Nick Nemeth dropped the title to the Golden Boy, Joe Hendry, in a very, very fun pay-per-view.
Look
And
at
a
the four
good match.
players involved in that match. You had to know it was going to be good.
Yeah,
You
there
had
was
to
so
know
much.
it was going to be good. And what did
I-
JBL do? JBL showed up, clotheslined somebody, and went home. That's pretty much been his shtick for months now, and it's worked for him.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised there was no Ryan Nemeth sighting, because he was there for the go home show and he was talking about, oh, don't trust JBL.
Yeah.
You should trust me. I'm your brother. And then it looked like Nick Nemeth. I feel like Nick Nemeth's next opponent might be his brother.
That's
Plus,
what I'm thinking.
He's Nick Nemeth's brother. The end.
That's what the Joe Hendry song said.
That's
He's
it.
Nick Nemeth's brother, and that's it.
So,
I would like to ask,
Yeah.
how do we feel? Do we feel like it's the right time? Do we feel like it should have been before? Also, who does Joe Hendry fight next? So how do you feel? And then who's next?
All right. So I did
How
want
about
to.
Keith?
I didn't get a chance to talk about the Japanese merger.
You kind of did, but you had
skipped
a little
me.
back and forth. You had a little back and
tiny
forth
bit,
with Johnny.
dude.
Okay,
but-
you can mention something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I purposely didn't give my opinion on it though, because I was waiting for my turn.
What a monster.
Man, but no, I think that as long as they stick to their territories, like I feel like each one of the companies has their own buildings that they run in. You know what I mean? Their own area that they run in. If they divide it up like an NWA style thing, like they used to do back in the day, not like they do now, where it's just a bunch of independent companies who carry the name. But if they divide it up and there's a board, which looks like there is, who kind of dictates what's happening in each territory uses their own talent and also has some crossover. I think it can be super successful. I am kind of sad that All Japan isn't involved, but I think that with Misawa passing away and with Inoki not being around, I would say Baba and Sharuda, but they were All Japan guys. But I think that kind of opens the door for this. Like, there's no more bad blood to deal with. So I think it has a lot of potential to be really successful if they manage it correctly.
Also,
If you
I just want to mention this. When you said the headquarters, their headquarters is billed as New Japan Pro Wrestling's headquarters
Oh, interesting.
in
Okay.
Nakano, Tokyo. So
Well, honestly, if you look at the people involved, that makes more sense.
Mhm.
Big Japan is a very small company. They're a freaking Japanese indie company, basically. I have a bunch of friends who've worked for them. And they're a deathmatch company, like people who don't know that. Stardom is niche, it's women. DDT is cartoons. You know what I mean? Like
fighting blow up dolls and stuff like that.
little children and invisible wrestlers and using laser guns and
Jim
Noah
Cornette
obviously
stuff.
yeah, Noah has a lot of super talented wrestlers, but they've fallen off in the last few years. So it would make sense that New Japan would kind of take the wheel.
Mhm.
But hopefully they don't, overpower everyone else. So yeah.
And then Johnny, let me go to Johnny, because if I didn't get, I like to mention one new thing. So he mentioned, but
I do want to talk about Joe Hendry, but yeah.
But I'll get to you first when we get to the Joe Hendry. But I wanted to get to Johnny,
got you, brother.
and then we'll close it and then go back to the Joe Hendry. But I did want to mention that Seiji Sakaguchi is the chairman of it.
Interesting.
Former wrestler.
Wally, right? Is it Wally? No. That's not Wally Yamaguchi.
He used to wrestle All Japan as well, actually.
Okay. But that's not okay. I was thinking because do you guys remember Wally Yamaguchi?
Big Saka.
Okay, not the same
or the
guy.
Great Saka, Mighty Saka, something like that.
Okay,
He would go after. He would go as one of those.
Gotcha. Wally Yamaguchi was Kaintai's manager, and I was just wondering if that was his actual name. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if that was his actual name.
No, Seiji Sakaguchi is actually his real name as well.
Okay, gotcha.
So, Johnny, how do you feel about this alliance? If you hadn't already mentioned.
I already mentioned it. I think it's brilliant. I absolutely wish it the best. I want to see nothing but success for all, everyone in wrestling. But seriously, something this historic deserves to be, noticed and recorded. And you know what? If it sucks, we'll notice and we'll record that too. But hopefully, this is one of the more badass things to come around. Because try and wrap your head around, AAA, TNA, AEW, and WWE just merging.
Yeah,
that's a dream, to be honest.
Try and wrap your head around what a Monday night or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Friday, whatever, would look like on an average day, and that would be mind bending to me because, like you said, it's the dream, right? Mm-hmm. So, I just hope this works out. I hope we get dozens of branching storylines with the amount of talent that are there.
Yeah,
the possibilities are literally endless.
All right.
And while I'm here, I'm happy for Joe Hendry, and I hope his next opponent is Rhino.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Let's see.
Rhino.
Okay, so D'Lo, David D'Lo Logan. By the way, if I hadn't already prefaced or given you your introduction, but you were on the top of my screen at the time, so I think we should rightfully go to you. So, how do you feel about Joe Hendry winning the title finally at the beginning of the year? And who do you think is next?
I've been a Joe Hendry guy since the days of WCPW, I guess.
Hell yeah.
So heck yeah, I'm with it. So I'm with it, all with it. Joe Hendry finally got a sign. He's only known one billboard. I feel that Moose is the next guy because he ain't got shit to do. So I feel Moose is gonna be the next man. So. And he know his business, so.
Well, is that going to be title for title?
They want to get somebody that know that was like a former teenager and he want to build his resume up. So I feel they're going to try to do that. That's okay. Tight shit. So.
Hey, I'll go to Keith. You're on the top of mind too. How do you feel about it, and what do you think is going to come from it? Who do you think's next?
Okay, so if you had asked me even 2 weeks ago, I would have said it's too late. You know what I mean? A month ago, I would have said it's too late. I would have said his time's already passed. But looking at what they've done, he beats Nick Nemeth. The next week, he beats Matt Cardona. The Royal Rumble is coming up. They just did the deal with the WWE, like a serious deal.
Yeah.
It was the right time. Like it ends up being the right time. It just shows that the people who are in charge sometimes know a little bit more than the people who are home watching it. So yeah, man, I think that he's picked his momentum back up, and I really think that now was the time. I just didn't know it when I was watching it before.
Good point.
As far as the first challenger, I think that's why they're bringing in Mance Warner. Yeah, wow. I think it's going to be Mance Warner. I do like the idea of Moose, though, because he has been saying that he's going to get rid of the TNA title. Yeah. Like, that's been a rumor going around for a while.
The X Division title or the
X Division title, I'm sorry. Yeah, that he's getting rid of. So he could, under the pretense of trying to become the TNA World Champion, so he can just toss off the X Division title, but that's just rumors. It might not even be true, So
he's mentioned it on TV though, so he's mentioning about how he wanted to change the X Division title and like make it something.
Yeah, but
I still don't like his spear. But
options.
Yeah, I don't like his spear either. It's a freaking roll up.
It really is a roll.
Spear I've ever seen. Yeah, it's not a spear. It's just a quick roll up. It's weird.
Super safe. It's super safe.
Yeah.
Brent, if I could get to you, I just want to make sure. You have an Austin theory?
I know. So I'm thinking the next contender against him will be Ryan Nemeth.
That's possible. Very possible.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? It would because this will make him more relevant.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that should be the guy.
It's a good call.
Yeah, I could see it.
But it doesn't do much for Joe Hendry. But does it need to, I suppose?
See, that's the thing about your first challenger. Your first challenger should be somebody who people, maybe think could beat you, but isn't like an overwhelming, you know what I mean? You get a few good matches out of it. You come out looking good. They come out looking better than they were.
Immediately.
So that makes sense. Yeah.
That's why immediately he's a TNA Hall of Famer, and
right. And you can always beat anyone. Yeah, you can always beat anyone. So
that too.
Yeah.
But I'm ecstatic for Joe Hendry winning the TNA World Title. I mean, that's
especially right now.
Yeah,
such a big deal. Yeah.
Now he's
and when he wins the Royal Rumble, it's going to make it even more of a big deal.
Now he's got to win the Rumble.
2 for 1.
That's what I was going to mention when I spoke. D'Lo, you can go, and then I'll go last on this. But going around our round table, how do you feel about Joe Hendry winning?
You already said.
I already said. I said I'm gonna live. I'm live for it.
And then who?
And he said
Moose.
Next? He said Moose.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, man.
Then it's just me. All right. So I like the fact that they led, because like I was talking about it when New Year's Evil happened. You want there to be a transition in the new year, and the best way to start a new year is with new champions. It was going to be one way because I didn't think Masha would lose it. So I do like the fact that Joe Hendry won it now, because it was kind of like the Joe Hendry seemed like the Cody Rhodes thing, where it's like delayed gratification.
Yeah,
where they're like, "Oh, you thought this would happen," but then he had a good promo the night before, and he was like, "I need this win." I was like, "I know you want this title, but I need this win." Like he actually, and he didn't lose steam.
Right.
And yes, the importance of him going to the Royal Rumble with that title is immense.
Massive.
I would have thought an NXT former champion would have challenged him if it wasn't for Cora Jade coming out and challenging Masha, because you're not going to do it twice. But I'm thinking that it might be JBL. He might force his way in. He keeps being a thorn in his side.
And that would be another one that would give him a lot of legitimacy if Joe Hendry beats him. That's another Hall of Famer.
And you could kind of see a different side of Joe Hendry in a match like that, I think.
Oh yeah,
JBL is a hoss.
Yeah.
This is the interesting thing, though, is that they both are the practitioners of the fall away slam. I'd say JBL made it what it was, at least at more recently than anybody else.
Right. I was going to say,
he did it a lot.
Scotty Steiner and Razor Ramon.
Well, I was going to say the more recent. I obviously know there's many people that have done it, but literally Joe Hendry, that's his lead up.
Yep.
Yeah. It's where he gets everybody excited, and if he were able to do that to JBL, Big Hoss JBL, my goodness. That would be an absolute. And him coming out, I still have him coming out number 2 in the Royal Rumble. I don't have him winning it, but I have him coming out, and that pop with that title around his waist is going to look glorious.
Especially in front of the 20-some thousand fans.
The biggest crowd he's ever been in.
You know what? I want to say I hope he wins it, but that would make me such a liar, because I think what you said, put him in it for the Iron Man style Rumble. I personally still hope Cena wins, but I don't think he's gonna. But put him in that Iron Man style Rumble, and even if he loses, what can you take away from him? Dude's gonna spend an hour or more in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, what can you?
Yeah,
what can
and
you
there's
take
not
away
going to
from
be
him
any
after that?
surprises. I saw that too.
What's that?
No, that's funny. Yeah, of course. Speaking of surprise, I would like to go to something that is also connected to TNA, but in kind of an interestingly negative way. But it was a very controversial thing that happened, and people did not know how to act with it. I saw it live when it was happening on GCW, and So, like when I mentioned the people versus GCW, there was a match to start it off where there was a mystery contestant, and that mystery contestant was then digital media champion PCO, who for a long time was a double champion in TNA, having beaten Matt Cardona for it. And
him and Sammy Callahan were feuding with the Hardys recently, weren't they?
Yeah, they were in a tag and all of that.
Hammerstone. Yeah, Hammerstone and Jake something.
Hammer something, yeah.
Right, that's right.
So here's the thing that happened. After that match, PCO took a chair, folded it out, took the chair, put the digital media championship on there, and proceeded to take a sledgehammer and destroy it. He missed the first 2 times, but and you could tell the way the security and everybody was acting that this was not planned. This was a shoot.
And
he went into
missing those
he
swings,
went.
Give him credit. He's only got one eye.
That's true. He's half dead.
That's the first thing I thought when he was swinging and missing. I was like, wow.
But the thing is that he pretty much shot a promo about, or did a shoot about the fact that he wasn't under contract for TNA for what he said to be 9 months.
Yep.
Close to a year, and that he was their champion, and he was
sold more T-shirts, and
yep. And he was talking about that online. He's like, I sold more T-shirts than all the top guys, and I've done all of this, and I've been here, and I've been showing out for them, and I've been carrying this facetious, silly title.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because apparently he said he's all in for GCW now.
Right.
That's a crazy get for them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
like
a big
out
get.
of the blue like this.
But also there was something that came in that they were saying that they wanted him to take a major pay cut, and he was against that. And I am all for people, holding out for what they deserve.
Yeah.
And all of that, and also doing something without a contract is nuts.
But you know what, man? And at that, I'll respect his love of the game for doing it without the contract for as long as he did. But seriously, this to me is as dumb as losing Penta because you couldn't communicate with him. This is a dumb loss on TNA's part. Why they didn't sign him as soon as...
I'd like you, yes, please expound, and then we'll go to Keith, but I'd like you to expound about this. So how do you feel about PCO doing this? This is one of the many times.
I'll be honest with you. I think PCO is one of the greatest success resurrection stories. No pun intended with the Frankenstein gimmick, but seriously, he took the literal death of his career and character and turned it into something phenomenal, and then was barely getting seen on TV. But when he was on TV on Ring of Honor, everyone tuned in. And then Ring of Honor goes under. And now he shows up with a group in TNA. Most of that group has gone to AEW or WWE, but he stayed.
Yeah.
And he carried that flag, and he waved it proudly, and he seemed to give 110% every time and didn't get it in return. Dude, I support PCO 100% in this. I still love TNA, but for me, it always comes down to the individual over the company, especially when the company is dead wrong.
Yeah. I will, if that's the case, I will go clockwise like I have been. Keith, I would also, again, like to preface something new to this, but the Fightful reported that apparently the title that he smashed was a replica, and the one that he had beat AJ Francis for at Slammiversary last summer is actually in possession of TNA. So he actually was never really carrying around the actual title.
Right.
Which is absurd again to see.
That happens. Yeah, WWE.
I mean, they do that though,
at PLE sometimes because wrestlers forgot them.
Yeah.
But it still means a lot to show a title getting destroyed.
Agreed. It's symbolic.
So Keith, how do you feel about this?
In the trash,
Exactly. How do you feel about this happening on the GCW and during a really big time of TNA? This is a really big.
So taking a 70% pay cut is bonkers. I mean, and that's the number that he threw out there. That is insane. If I was doing a job and someone came to me and said, "We need you to lose 70% of your pay
because you're the best,"
because you're the best.
I wouldn't be cool with that either.
You're the best here. We need you to cut 70% of what you're making. What?
Yeah. I don't know if we're gonna get into this later on in the podcast, but him carrying around a replica makes sense with how quickly TNA was able to respond.
They took him off of the page. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, should I talk about that or
we could just mention it, I suppose.
Well, I mean, they said Steph DeLander won the title from PCO in their divorce. So now Steph DeLander is the digital media champion. She came out last night with the belt. So she won the championship in the divorce. So he broke a belt that he apparently didn't have anymore because she won it in the divorce.
Oh wow.
So yeah, Steph DeLander is the digital media champ, and she has the belt now. So that makes perfect sense. As far as working,
that type of championship is such a good idea.
And I guess
no steam.
There's people who have Roku titles. I just think it's weird. But I guess it's modern. But I do want to say one other thing though. Working without a contract is not unheard of in pro wrestling. Like, the Outrunners worked for like 2 years for AEW without a contract.
Yeah.
But there has to be a respect and a loyalty there, and I feel like TNA did not honor their side of it.
No, clearly.
So, good for PCO, for standing up for himself and for putting attention on a company that hopefully will respect him a little more.
He knows his
TNA basically just made the title even more of a joke. Steph DeLander barely wrestles, and they put it on her, and she won it in the divorce. Like, come on, dude, it's just silly.
That's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. Like, I can't believe that was actually said.
I would say, let me go to Roundba. D'Lo, how do you feel about the 57-year-old PCO destroying and making a big stink about his issues with TNA? How do you feel about? Do you feel like this is going to affect the company? Do you feel like if there's going to be some pushback?
Man, he broke that belt just like my Ravens broke my heart this Sunday.
No,
he broke that.
Mark Andrews.
But
little bit of pieces.
Anyway,
bless his heart, he must be the sickest man alive.
Wait, so they missed the Ravens twice?
That's crazy.
Sorry.
But due to that PCO, damn, I know he's on all that controversy. But PCO, shout out to him, man. Get your bread. I don't know why he was taking less. Like, man,
we can't hear you if you're speaking.
Oh, I think we lost D'Lo for a second there.
No.
Oh,
D'Lo,
man.
my favorite part of Aces and Eights.
D'Lo, come back.
You can blame it all on me. Okay, Brent, while we don't have audio for D'Lo, can we hear how you feel about PCO, formerly known as Pierre-Jean Ouellette?
Yeah, good for him,
man.
man.
I can hear you now.
That's Russian froze. I was like, y'all just froze for a few months. Like, the heck?
You froze, but let me get to Brent, and then you can finish what you were saying because Brent was about to.
Good for PCO, man. Like, I mean, that would be like WWE asking CM Punk if they can just not pay him at all for merchandise sales.
That's nuts, and he makes a lot of merch.
He does.
He wants his own ice cream bars.
I mean, 70% of your pay. That's a little ridiculous.
That's the pay cut I took.
Yeah.
That's
that's definitely not a good feeling.
Not at all.
So good for PCO. I hope he does wonderful things, and hopefully he'll find his happy place in GCW.
I think he takes his happy place with him.
Oh, for sure.
Unless
as the old school road warrior type. That
I want to finish before we obfuscate. I do want to
make a joke. I have to make a joke. unless his happy place is Steph DeLander.
Which it is, actually, from what I've been told. So D-Lo, I'd like you to finish where you left off, Boswell. You mentioned about PCO and
yeah, I was saying, man, I don't know why he let them do that like that for all this time. I was surprised, but he loves that shit. But hey, get your money, man. Get your money. I don't know why he was doing them.
Nobody mentioned this, but did anybody else think it was the allegiance to Scott Dumore?
I think
they talked about that. They talked about that too.
Wow. Have a part
because he was on Maple Leaf Pro when Scott Dumore did his things, and he's obviously he's a Canuck, so you would imagine that there was some.
I hadn't even considered that, but that's a solid possibility.
Yeah, the article that I read mentioned it, but
around the time, what was it? Scott Dumore got let go 10 months ago, and they stopped paying PCO 9 months ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is there not a correlation, if you think?
Yeah, that lines up nicely.
I think also, and I understand that a few of us are more passionate about this topic, but that also mentions, a segue to not paying wrestlers.
Oh,
there was a promoter.
Oh man!
There was a well-known promoter, former WWE and ECW, accused of forgery and failing to pay wrestlers.
Okay, so
let me
just
yes,
let me just say real quick, Bobby Fulton isn't actually the promoter. His son is. Bobby just assists him because obviously he has connections in the business. So I just want to. Dylan is the one who's being accused of more than Bobby.
Yes,
Bobby is involved, but
Dylan Hines is the aforementioned.
Bobby's the one making threats, though, is what cracks me up.
But Dylan's the one who posted RVD's information on his social media.
Yeah. Right.
We're kind of tearing it apart right now, but yeah.
Right. Dude, this has been a wild couple of days on this ride.
So I'd like to go to Johnny first because you're on the top of my screen, but if you could mention some more details that I didn't mention, I'd like, because I left it vague because I know you guys have a bit more to speak on.
Do the best I can to kind of put this in chronological order, but to keep it simple, Bobby Fulton and Dylan Hines, father and son, they've been, known to grift people and rip off talent for at least a decade, and that's just my limited knowledge on the subject. The more stones I turn over on the topic, the more unbelievable things I come to hear about the things these two have done to people. But then, so 2 days ago, RVD starts just going off on Dylan. He has repurposed his name to Dildo Hines. And has proceeded to. All right. So what happened was Bobby put the father, Bobby Fulton, put his own phone number online and said, if you need anything, reach out to me. So Rob Van Dam copied and pasted it and basically said, here's the guy whose son is ripping me off. Here's the guy who says, if you have any problems, call him. So call him. And in response to that, Dylan Hines goes, oh, well, you can play that game. And he puts Rob Van Dam's number online, which is not at all what Van Dam did. Van Dam literally reposted something they posted. So he puts Van Dam's number up online and goes, oh, I know Van Dam loves to chat with his fans, so here you go. And so since then, Van Dam has left his zen wherever he was 2 days ago. And he has been blasting these two. I've seen Rob Van Dam occasionally take a shot at someone and then go smoke some weed and chill for the remainder of his life. I don't think he's letting go. I guarantee for the last hour and change we've been on here, he's been ripping Dylan Hines on Facebook, Twitter, wherever. Just tearing him apart. He has been going after father and son, exposing them for everything they're doing. And you know what?
Get a Van Dam.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
Get a Van Dam.
Get a Van Dam.
Right. Get a Van fucking Dam. Get a Van Dam. That says a lot. I don't know.
Dude, that is crazy behavior from a so-called promoter. And then Dylan tried to change his name. I don't remember what, but it's so flamboyant and outlandish. Once you see it, you'll remember it.
Yeah.
But he tried to change his name and say, I'm getting out of the wrestling business. I'm going somewhere where I'll be respected and I won't be bullied. And then turns around and tries to dox Rob Van Dam that day, the same day. So
Man, get this money out of here. Get him out of here.
Oh, get him, Rob.
Yeah, get him, Rob. Yeah,
Rob Van Dam is he's living the dream right now. We've all wanted to take that bully and just put the spotlight on them. He's got the bully and his dad in the spotlight to the point where Bobby is laying out these crazy mushmouth threats like you would not believe it. I've heard about probably 10 cumulative minutes of garbled mushmouth, like marble mouth threats, like that I had to listen to one or two of them at least 5 times because I couldn't understand the goddamn thing he was saying. And that's coming from the guy with the worst accent here. All right. This guy he's talking around a mouthful of old.
I got you that.
And that's the only way I can really put it, is he's talking through a mouthful of 70 years and he can't really articulate words anymore, but he's doing his best to threaten Rob Van Dam with physical violence. And I'm telling you, if it weren't for hearing these recordings, I would not believe that the spirit of comedy is still alive in 2025. But let me tell you, if there's a God, she is laughing her tits off right now. But pardon my French, Kitsch Radio, we love you.
For knockers.
So I have been friends with Dylan on Facebook for quite some time, and there have been accusations almost the entire time, but he's always been able to point to someone else who he did good business with to kind of save himself.
That's the shtick of the Carney.
Yeah, but at this point, there's an overwhelming amount of people who are just, he ripped us off. This has just been going on for a long time. And at this point, I mean, Dylan has always come off a little goofy, a little freaking
eccentric.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was waiting for you to pass it to somebody, and I was like, maybe Pablo is not on.
I thought I was. That's the thing, but I must have clicked this button by accident.
Gotcha. That's why I just started going. But yeah. So Dylan has always come off a little goofy, a little maybe someone who should be more knowledgeable than he is, considering he grew up in the business. So I don't think losing him in the wrestling business is any big loss. Which I think is the end result of this. And he says that the company that he represents has been around for 47 years, but it's big time world-class championship wrestling. And maybe those names have been around for 47 years.
But
I don't even know if they've been around for 47 years in combination.
Didn't the original Sheik own that company?
Owned Big Time Wrestling. Yeah, he owned Big Time Wrestling, which is funny considering he's got beef with RVD now. But yeah. So I don't know. I don't think Dylan Hines has any business being in the wrestling business. He runs conventions, and you have to. I don't know. I just don't get it.
For what it's worth, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think it's a lion. Once a lion Carney, always a lion Carney.
I mean, I feel like if Rob Feinstein can,
again, first opportunity.
If Rob Feinstein can still find people to do his autograph signings and stuff, anybody can. But
all
right, D-Lo, you're on top of the screen now. How do you feel about this controversial take? Obviously, we all love RVD and we all love Katie Forbes and everything she does.
Oh yeah, dude, who doesn't love Katie Forbes?
Yep, I'm going to show some love to Katie Forbes after this.
Miss Natural, baby.
Am I doing it right? No.
Most ironic nickname in wrestling.
Exactly.
Miss Natural.
JBL, more like BBL. BBL, Katie. What's up?
But on
Rob Van Dam, more like goddamn.
Yeah, Mr. Dillon. God damn. Yeah, god damn. You got yourself in quite a bit of a pickle here, sir. Yeah, a big old pickle. So, if Van Dam going on for you, that says a lot. I've never heard Van Dam.
Yeah, he's a pacifist. Like, Lord knows.
The first thing I said
he be picking a head.
The first thing I responded to him with was, if you can F up Rob Van Dam's Zen, you know you screwed up bad.
I ain't never heard this man before, but he already got himself some duty. I ain't even know him, so you gotta pay
right there.
Yo, bro, gotta pay what you owe if you got it, yo.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, the forgery was that that case would be that it was autographs that he would put his name on. No.
Yeah, and there was a story. Lex Luger came out a few years back and said that he did a signing for him where he didn't personalize anything, and then fans ended up getting personalized items because after Luger signed everything, Dylan Hines went through the list of people who had bought autographs and personalized all the autographs.
Yep.
So
that was the first thing that came out.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Scammery. Criminal scammery.
I mean, anybody that runs conventions and has a kind of shady background about them, man, you got to keep eyes peeled. They'll literally see someone at the convention and go buy 2,000 pictures of them.
Yeah.
Sign them all, sell them all. Like,
yeah.
Brent, how do you feel about this? I don't know if you have a personal relationship with the aforementioned, but
but it's like this. Hey, the guy needs to pay his debts, just as some of these wrestlers need to pay their debts. Let's say, we talked not too long ago about one of our favorite guys in WWE right now, Jacob Fatu, skipping out, owing money. So
didn't he make that right?
These people need to learn how to be stand up and pay what they owe.
Agreed.
I'm not sure if there was restitution.
I'm pretty sure Jacob Fatu made that one right.
The charity said that he was working towards it, that they were talking. That was the last thing I heard.
Okay.
But the thing is, he also did this to a lot of smaller companies who don't have the publicity that the charity did. So I don't think he's ever going to make all of it right. He was charging an outrageous amount of freaking money.
He's handing out IOUs like in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
This is as good as money.
Right.
Just handing them Newports and Hennessy. It was like, what do you mean? I thought?
But whether you're a promoter or a wrestler, if you give your word and you decide to accept an obligation, then you're obligated to either pay or get paid.
This business is built and broken on the words of people.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Nobody seems to understand how bad one carny can have a ripple effect that will affect thousands of lives. And Dylan Hines is sitting at home going, I didn't do nothing except make money off stupid people. Well,
you're a stupid person.
We're going to see. We're going to see when the time comes, because I'm telling you, those stupid people are starting to line up.
Yeah.
Okay, so
apparently my dog's coming in.
Because we are on the home stretch, I think we have a good amount of time to go over the special topic that I had. It's something that we want to do weekly, where there's something that we have a conversation about that is not necessarily about weekly. It's something that is wrestling related, and just a passion thing. So what I had mentioned, or this being that I want to mention that the trailer for the Mildred Burke movie biopic came out, and one of my favorite actresses, formerly a very, not very well-known Canuck, her name is Emily Ricards. She became famous from being Felicity Smoke in the Arrow series, and she had such a good debut, and because she wasn't in the story at all, and she wasn't meant to be a long-term player, but she was such a good character and bubbly and funny and like cute and hot at the same time that they wrote her in. And spoiler alert for a show that's been out for a long time, she ended up being written in and as the love interest of Oliver Queen. And she didn't exist in the comics in that way, but she was such a good actress that they had to make a role for her. You know,
Kinda
kind of
like-
like how Joe Hendry went into business for himself. Tony Storm went into business for herself, who, by the way, is in the movie looking exactly like Timeless Tony Storm, which might be the, you know, dressed the exact same way. She is one of the, you know, pioneers, Mildred Burke, and talking about the fact that she was a single mother working at a restaurant, and then she, you know, she went into her passion. And I thought that was a really cool thing. So that brought up wanting to talk about our favorite movie themed like either wrestling themed or movies that had wrestlers in them. So like See No Evil technically is not a wrestling film, even though it was made by WWE and Kane was in it.
Right.
But also like the movie The Wrestler is obviously a wrestling movie. So I would like to see Brent, you are on my left right now because in America we work to the left and then we're going to go right. So Brent, do you have a specific movie that is either featuring a wrestler or about wrestling that you like, and do you want to say some things about it?
Man, there are so many. Gosh. I like Nacho Libre with Jack Black.
How could you mention that movie with me in the call? You know that was my movie.
Nah, too late now.
It's the best.
But there, I mean, I like the Peanut Butter Falcon. That's another one that you and me agree is fantastic.
Pick one and then I'll talk about the other, please.
Brent's stealing all your stuff.
Yes, pick one and then I'll talk about the other, please.
Let's talk about Peanut Butter Falcon.
I mean, I've got like 6 that I want to talk about, so
well, yeah,
you get to me.
Yeah, but Keith, you are capped. You are capped on time, so you can only say a word now.
With those glasses on, you better pretty much only have one in mind with those glasses on.
Exactly.
Amen.
Knuckleheads. I'm just a knucklehead.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, big show. It was pretty.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't seen it.
Pretty darn ick. Yeah. So Brent, talk about Peanut Butter Falcon. I saw it in theaters, and it was Shia LaBeouf, Dakota Johnson, I think was and then a relatively not very well known actor who has Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And that was the story.
I think his name is Zach Gottsigan or something like that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So it's about he's a grown man, but you know, and he has Down syndrome, and he wants to live his dream of becoming a professional wrestler, and you know, he meets a guy.
So he's like Freight Train.
What is it?
I said so. He's like Freight Train.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's very strong as well.
Very strong.
Very strong.
And he meets an outlaw on the run, and you know, the outlaw kind of coaches him to his dream.
Shia LaBeouf.
So, and it's really good. I said, if you guys haven't got to see it, highly recommend.
Sounds wonderful. Like a kind of warm and fuzzy, heartwarming thing that I would generally avoid, but I might have to check it out.
This is the thing. I'll mention a little bit more about that if you don't mind, Brent.
Yeah.
A good choice, but Shia LaBeouf and Zach Gottsigan, the character that wants to become the pro wrestler, they have such a good relationship. It's just good camaraderie. You know, it's jokey, but it's still serious, but it's fun, and it's very nice. There's a lot of big actors in it. John Bernthal was a main character, and then Thomas Hayden Church and Yellow Wolf was one of the people that were chasing him. Jake the Snake was in it as well.
Yeah, Jake Snake.
You know, and he ended up going to find they were going to a specific wrestling school to learn, and then he ended up wrestling, and it was interesting. It was really, really fun, lighthearted, but still had its moments. It was like it was intense, and it was really nice. Everybody, I would say it would be nice to check out that movie.
Yeah, Mick Foley's also in that movie.
Yes, we love to see that there's actual wrestlers in wrestling movies.
So it's positive.
Yeah,
exactly. And they did a good job. It wasn't overly campy, but it also wasn't overly silly.
Right.
And it was serious in a lot of ways, but he he tiptoed the line very well, considering. Yeah. Thank you for that, Brent.
Yeah.
D'Lo,
Mm.
you are to his right.
Well,
What is a movie? What is a movie either starring a wrestler or about wrestling that you like that isn't Nacho Libre?
so actually, I did have one I thought of, but I thought it was unrelated. But one I did see recently that I went to on Tubi to do. I did went to see Backyard Dogs. I just wanted to see.
Oh man, you watched Backyard Dogs?
Yeah, I went to watch it.
Huh?
It was
Oh,
solid.
it's
For what
so
it was,
bad.
it was solid. I
Yeah.
liked it. For
Okay,
what
right
it
on,
was,
brother.
solid. 'Cause,
I thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
for what it was. Because I never seen it, but I was like, for what it was all right. Seeing Booster was kind of cool. I was okay. It showed the background of how niggas coming up on the independence. So from the hardware or the mattress wear to the backyard wrestling to the big leagues to a tryout.
One of the coolest things, one of the only cool things about that movie is Hayabusa is in
Hayabusa,
it without
yeah.
his mask. He just takes
That-
it off, dude. Like
Yeah.
That was
he did it-
wild, yeah.
That's so bizarre.
I don't think I'd ever seen him without his mask on, and he's just chilling in the back of this car in this independent film and just takes his mask off.
Right.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no one's gonna see
I was
this.
surprised.
Yeah, that was wild.
But yeah. But it was okay for what it was. It was all right for what it was. I did think of El Tigre of Nacho Libre, but El Tigre of Manuel Rivera, but that was not it. So that's all I can give you for is the backyard. And that dude was a damn fool. Why he ain't clap that girl at the beginning? Why ain't the brother get the
Dude, I will say, back in the day, Bree Turner was a whole snack.
Cute.
Mhm.
Cute little while.
Good snack action.
Yeah, she was something.
Snack of the day brought to you by Keith.
Yeah. 2014, Bree Turner was something else, man.
Well, everybody, if you want to check out an indie film that has Hayabusa and no other real high points.
Oh, Frank Kazarian's in that bit too.
Frank Kazarian's in it. He has a trunk match with someone. He has a backyard trunk match, which is like a casket match, but you wheel a car in and throw them in the trunk.
Yeah,
I like that better. I like that. It's more. It makes more sense.
That would have made the boneyard match more entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
Put him in the trunk of Eddie's lowrider and just hop up and down until they just go
until they
pass
throw
out.
up.
Exactly.
Yes,
Oh man.
All right, so Johnny, you are the one next on the round table. I'll just go last.
Before I steal Keith's glasses, a quick mention of a movie that's not about wrestling. It features two Hall of Fame wrestlers, and they aren't even the best part of the movie. The best part of the movie is the main character played by Christopher Lloyd. I'm, of course, talking about Suburban Commando. If you just want a heaping bite of the 80s, just and you don't want anything else. You don't want any story. You don't want any plot. You don't want any thinking. Let's not let any thinking get in the way of this. Put on Suburban Commando.
Oh, yeah, love it.
My absolute choice.
I watched that movie like 100 times when I was a kid.
Perry Bolea.
Me too.
It's They Live. We all know They Live. We all know why it's They Live. We're starting to live They Live. All right. So They Live, one of John Carpenter's best movies and one of his best fictional movies that is slowly becoming a documentary.
Love it.
Yeah, one of the best movies
with
ever.
The rowdy
and
one.
Hands down,
Love
Roddy
Dave
Piper, the best fight scene put to film.
Gives him a back body suplex in an alley.
Dude, yeah. I mean, come on, fight with me on that. Tell me there's a better choreographed fight in any action movie.
It is hilarious how every time he takes him down, he's like,
I will say the sword fight scene in Shanghai Nights with Jackie Chan and the main villain is probably the best in my opinion. And Donnie Yen against Jackie Chan in that same movie was really good too.
I'm saying I hate Roadhouse, but that freaking fight at the end where he rips the dude's throat out was very convincing.
Absurd. Rest in peace, Keith David. He was also a big part of that movie. They Live.
Yeah. Great actor.
He was the voice. A very good voice.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
Say Keith
He was
David.
Gargoyle too. He was Goliath, right? In Gargoyles.
Oh yeah, he was
Yeah.
he was so many different characters.
Yeah,
He
he
was
Keith
so many
was like
David's
a
different
still
characters.
alive,
million
bro.
people on Rick and
What?
Keith David's still alive, bro. I seen him in Ab Elementary just yesterday. Keith David's still alive, bro.
Yeah, he's not
Oh my
dead,
g-
brother.
I just seen him in
What?
Ab Elementary, bro.
I was
just
under
seen
the
one
impression-
episode. I was like,
That's like when I thought Tina Turner was dead for the longest time when I was younger.
Dude. So I was gonna
Are
roll
we
with it
on
because I
the
thought maybe I
Mandela
didn't
effect
hear
still?
it.
Because I thought he was dead too.
hell
Yeah,
no, I
they're
just seen him in Ab
remaking.
Elementary. I
They're
just seen him there.
Yeah.
He's
What
on Ab
happened?
Elementary.
I'm gonna Google it real quick, but I
Real
know that
shit. I
they're
just seen him.
remaking the Gargoyles, and he's supposed to be in it.
I
So
hope
if
so.
you-
I loved the
yeah.
Gargoyles as a New Yorker. I loved it. He's
And
also in
besides,
Has Been
I got
Hotel.
One of my
Great
one of
show,
my mom's
dude.
old
That
coworkers
was
is
a
related to him,
phenomenal,
too.
groundbreaking
She
cartoon.
does too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's 68 years old. Definitely not dead.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
well,
was under
yeah,
the impression that I heard that he died. It was somebody.
Nah, bro.
I'm not
gotta
making.
stop
I'm not
putting people in
mixing
the
him up
graves
for
early.
Dale.
I would've
I'm not
known.
mixing him up for James Earl Jones, am I?
Pablo,
James Earl
this
Jones
guy
is
had
dead.
a life.
That's absurd.
You can't
Yeah,
do
James.
that.
I know him. I
I
know Keith
believe
David.
in Keith David.
I know
And
Keith
just
David.
so
Me and one of my mom's
just so
old-
everybody knows, David Keith is also still alive. He's 70.
Oh yeah, opposite say.
All of them
Keith
are
David
alive.
and David Keith are both still alive.
Yes.
I am sorry to the living.
I was gonna say Carlo.
Please forgive me.
And Keith Miller is still alive.
Apologies and condolences to the
Yes,
living.
yes. Yes, indeed.
I was like, what?
I did not know your work. I
Oh
was
man.
not. All right, Brent, you mentioned yours. D-Lo, you mentioned yours. Johnny, you mentioned yours. Obviously, I'm going at before Keith. So-
go over King. He gonna take over.
Because
Dude, I'm gonna mention 6 freaking movies now.
because
Go,
the greatest wrestling movie ever made was Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
It was the greatest. It had Ramses,
I liked it.
aka Silver King. Ramses' arms are the best. Ramses are
Only
the
because
best.
they didn't briefly
They had
talk
Jack
about
Black in those
wrestling during
pants.
They Live.
Sometimes you wear stretchy pants. It's for the fun.
And it was based
You
on that wrestling Padre that was
Mhm.
featured in Sports Illustrated in the
Yep.
80s, and then they
Yep.
finally got around to making a movie about him.
And one of the greatest characters, Esqueleto, his tag team partner that was just extremely
That
skinny.
smile, dude.
Well,
Oh, it's funny.
We do not win because you're fat. But if you guys don't know about Nacho Libre, it's 2006, a Disney movie, actually, I believe. Because I watched it with my ex. Another thing that I blessed her with that she didn't deserve.
Ah,
But he was a Catholic friar who grew up in the monastery, and he wanted to be a pro wrestler, and he used to watch it, and it was seen as a sin in Catholicism. And he was it was based off of Fry Tormenta, in which you were mentioning, and it was a Nickelodeon movie, not a Disney movie. It was a Nickelodeon movie. So it was a kids movie.
Young boy. I was a young boy.
It was absolutely hilarious, and I think everybody should watch it. Produced by Mike White and Jack Black, so interracial love, interracial love right there. Also, Ana de la Guerra is one of the most beautiful women in the world. De la Reguera. She also played she wasn't queen of the drug. She wasn't drug queen of the South. That wasn't her. But she was so cute in that. And then it's just a really nice, feel good wrestling story, and
the comeback sequence.
Plus Jack Black.
And yes, and Jack Black got to sing. I am singing at the party. Oh my goodness. It's just I love Jack Black because he is one of the greatest minds of our time. The fact that he's such a talented singer, and that's what people don't know about him, because he's a good actor.
Dude,
and
Tenacious
funny.
D is amazing.
I still wish they would have gotten that movie, but Kyle Gass had to mention what he mentioned about the now 2-time reigning defending commander in chief.
But they're already back on speaking terms. He already forgave Calgas, and they're on good terms.
It was a joke.
But doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't scrap the movie. They did the same thing. They forgave Kang the Conqueror, but he's still going to just make an appearance and not have the whole entire thing about him anymore.
Yeah, dude. That's why Robert Downey Jr. got brought back to be Dr. Doom.
They're supposed to be going back on tour together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If that'll, this
is the picnic.
Mm-hmm. So, but I would also like to note it. I would like to note that the movie, the director Jared Hess was the director of Napoleon Dynamite, so it's very campy. It's very silly, very but very good.
Defense.
Campy-ish.
Yeah, very campy. Silly, but it's a kids movie, and
I was
even kid. Though it was
a kid, it was for me.
It was really cool.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and then I will give the next few minutes to Keith.
Hey now,
and his 6 movies.
So, my favorite wrestling movie of all time is very much a product of the 80s. If it came out today, it would probably be banned.
Banned.
It's racist.
Probably.
It's sexist, and it's hilarious.
All the marbles.
And it's Body Slam. Body Slam is so good, especially when you are a child in the 80s and you just, Roddy Piper and Tonga Kid on the independent circuit kicking ass.
I feel like I am a child in the 80s again. I forgot about that movie.
The father of
from the A-Team is their manager,
right?
Harry M. Smilak.
Lou Albano,
yeah. The freaking gosh, what's the big guy? Tiho Khan and the Barbarian are the heels.
Yeah.
The Samoans are in it, ripping apart Cadillacs.
Sam
for
two.
A great freaking movie, man. And I know that there's one of the I mean everybody's in it, dude. But everybody that was big back then besides Hogan. But one of the funniest, one of the lines of the movie that could not happen now, is the Harry Smilak owes this gangster money.
Ironic.
And he's Korean. But Smilak is always calling him Japanese or Chinese or Vietnamese. He never gets it right. And so when he doesn't get it right, the guy goes, "No, Smilak, I'm Korean. Different eyes, different language."
That's what he said.
As a child, that was hilarious.
You're really
as a grown man, I recognize that I'd probably just canceled myself. But a child in the 80s, that was freaking hilarious, dude.
I don't have time for this, Hans Bricks.
Yeah. It's funny because there's a band called Kicks who Harry Smilak also manages, and he wants them to get famous, so he pairs them with Piper and Tonga Kid, and they go out on the circuit and they freaking promote concerts and wrestling matches at the same time.
The Rock and Wrestling Tour.
Yeah, it's so amazing. They decide to call the band Kick because no band with an S at the end of their name has ever been famous. And they're like, what about the Beatles?
What about the Kiss?
Yeah.
Well, no, like a plural name. So they're like, what about the Beatles?
Oh, the Monkees?
Yeah.
Right. They name a couple of different people, but they literally name, at the time, the biggest rock band of all time. They're like, what about the Beatles? It's a funny movie, man. Funny movie. Freaking watch
Leopards.
The Def Leopards. Watch it with the eyes that you need to watch it from. I mean, it's from the 80s, but it was the first wrestling movie that I ever really loved. So if I could just hit on a couple of movies that freaking we didn't mention that definitely should be mentioned. You Killed My Father, Now I Must Kill You.
Oh yes, one of my favorite movies of all time. I grew up with The Princess Bride. Andre the Giant.
Montoya.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mandy Patinkin, who ended up winning awards after that. He did such a great job. He did such a good job. Carrie Ells, You know, Robin Wright,
Yeah.
when you didn't hate her, even though I still kind of hated her in this movie too. She was the villain in Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't not hate her in Forrest Gump. Jenny was evil.
Yeah. God.
She was.
Beyond the Mat, which kind of broke the
Another good one.
wrestling documentaries to the freaking world. You know what I mean? Like
with Mankind and
it had a huge theatrical release. Was a success at the box office. The idea, and it kind of opened up the floodgates for all the wrestling documentaries that we saw on TV after that. I mean, Secrets of Wrestling Exposed, The Unreal World of Professional Wrestling, blah blah blah.
Shout to
Secrets
Draws.
of Wrestling Exposed will always stand out in my mind because I will always remember seeing one of the wrestlers on that show completely face painted with a mask on and going, "Oh my God, that's so and so," and like just
dude.
From that
I was like,
point on.
"That's Harley Race!"
Yeah,
Like, come on, man. So yeah, Beyond the Mat, Princess Bride, Body Slam,
The Wrestler.
The Wrestler. I'm not a big fan of movies with ambiguous endings, so that kind of hurt The Wrestler for me. But aside from that,
how about Ready to Rumble?
I mean, I saw Ready to Rumble at the theaters. Good movie, funny, a little bit gross.
Shouldn't have led to David Arquette becoming world champion.
It did. Speaking of The Wrestler, Evan Ginsberg, who was one of the executive producers on The Wrestler and was in it, is going to be on my podcast in March because he has a new book out. I never mentioned Most Excellent Entertainment on this, but it's wrestling related. So listen to that episode when it comes out in March.
Check it out. Check it out, and then check us out on YouTube as well. And we have been doing our bestest to get you all the good content that you would love. I would also say that an honorable mention is Spider-Man, the original with Tobey Maguire, because Randy Savage was the
Buzzsaw, baby.
Get up here.
Also,
got you for 3 minutes.
Billy Madison, and Waterboy.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler clearly has some wrestling stuff going on, you know?
Very much.
The Revolting Blob.
Also, the remember the Bundys? What was it? The Married with Children.
Sure, Married with Children. Yeah. Which is weird. It's weird because King Kong Bundy is Peggy's cousin.
Yeah,
but his last name's Bundy, which should make him related to Al.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So I always thought that was funny.
Whatever.
I always thought that was funny.
I know it's not a movie, but it's a show with wrestlers.
Yeah. I mean, if you're learning the ropes, it's a great Canadian wrestling TV show.
Young Rock.
With Lilo Zato. Great freaking. Young Rock. Hey, man.
Fantastic.
If we want to get into TV, dude, there was a lot of good versus evil. Which wasn't super known, but Mankind was on Good versus Evil. So,
okay.
Yeah, Hell Comes to Frogtown. Roddy Piper.
Frogtown. I was thinking that earlier. Thank you.
Yeah.
God.
There's also a really cool. Speaking of the Mildred Burke movie, there's another movie that Chelsea Green was actually the star of called Chokeslam. It's an independent film in Canada that's really good.
I've heard of it.
It's a romantic comedy. It's really good. It's got layers to the story. Basically, there's this guy who proposed to his high school sweetheart, and she rejected him, and then she goes on to be a famous wrestler. And her best friend also wanted to be a wrestler, but didn't succeed the way that she did. The best friend is played by Chelsea Green. So the guy, she comes back to town on like a I'm the best tour, you know, like a hometown tour type thing.
Right.
And so as a way to get back together with her, the guy who she rejected puts together a wrestling match, and it's also Chelsea Green is going to be her opponent. So she's getting her chance to freaking, see what could have happened if she had got to wrestle her and gone on to have her spot. It's a really good movie. I mean, honestly,
I remember when that movie was
better story writing,
reading about it, and it sounded amazing.
Yeah,
better
really
story
good.
writing than anything AEW has done with the women's division.
Right, different levels and it's a good movie. Check it out, Chokeslam. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that.
Yeah. It
Also,
might be
if
my
I could
favorite wrestling movie that's actually good. You know what I mean? Like Body Slam is not good, but it's my favorite wrestling movie.
Controversial opinions are controversial.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I would like to also mention that I do have an indie spotlight this week.
Hey, now. Let's do it.
My guy.
Vance Warner. No, I'm just kidding.
Nope. He'll maybe when he makes his debut next week. But also shout out to everybody that's going to be making their debuts soon because this is the best.
Mustafa
This is the
Ali.
biggest.
Didn't
Coming
they
in
announce
on
like
GCW, coming in.
4 new people premiered, or I mean, appeared on TNA yesterday, right? There was. I feel like there was 4 people.
Ali's been there.
Yeah,
Mustafa Ali has been there for a while, but he did take some.
But he hasn't been around.
Because they said
like,
that his
took
contract
time
was
off.
up, and then they took him off of
Yeah.
wrestling. So, but mine is the Dominican legend and viral sensation now as a Cha-Cha Charlie,
Okay.
trained out of New York, and he got viral because he comes out to he's just the most Dominican looking wrestler, and it's hilarious, and
Okay.
I want everybody to pay attention. I want everybody to just love it the way I love it, just viscerally.
Awesome.
Love. But yeah,
We shall
what was
check
it?
out Cha-Cha Charlie.
Cora Jade made a appearance. It was it Mustafa Ali that made an appearance as well? Maybe going after the X division.
Yeah, Mustafa
Moose
Ali came out.
If that's the case, then
Mustafa.
Moose looks like he's going to be facing him.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Vance Warner came out.
Mhm.
Yeah. The Rascals and Fraxium. I really want to see that match.
That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Well, it already happened. It was yesterday.
But I imagine there's going to be a few more, no?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that show just sounds like it was amazing. Like
You mentioned the Rascals.
Fraxium and the Rascals, freaking Cardona and Joe Hendry's first title defense.
Yeah.
Dude, even the women's 6-man match sounded like it had some shenanigans, but it sounded like it was well put together shenanigans.
Right.
And it continued the Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance feud because they won. So they still have a shot. They can still possibly beat Spitfire. Like, it just TNA sounded like it was really good yesterday. I really wish I could have watched it.
What I will say is that there are certain people that aren't a fan of TNA, right?
Yeah,
We know who we're mentioning. I will say that TNA, as well as many other territories and companies, they all have the ability to be very good and very worthwhile watching.
Yeah.
You know, they're a company that makes money, that has a reason to make good product. And maybe they've been the unknown for so long, but you know, the girl that wasn't the super popular girl in high school, she could turn out to be really great. Yeah, exactly. And you know,
I've always thought TNA was hot. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Exactly. I've always been. Josh Alexander's done great work, and
he didn't actually retire. Josh Alexander did not actually retire.
He's not
They're
going
setting
nowhere.
up a tag match. Yeah, they're setting up a tag match, dude.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Because of
if
the
he does
connection
sign with
to WWE.
Yeah, he'll still work there. Yeah.
But that's the interesting thing about this merger is that can you be hired to one and then just always work to the other? So is it just it like a combination where, like, you know, because I've always talked about Josh Alexander being on NXT to fight Ethan Page again.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to assume at this point, and you know what they say about assumptions, but I think Jordan Grace, because she doesn't have a TNA contract anymore.
Right.
But they announced her yesterday as being the official liaison between WWE and TNA.
I thought that was Ariana Grace.
I thought it said Jordan Grace on the thing that I read. Maybe I was wrong.
It might have been Ariana. Well, because I thought because of the whole connection between her and Santino being
that would make sense. Let me double check real quick, because if I'm wrong, then that just screws everything up.
Well, there was one when they were doing that wheel of matches, and then they came on and she announced herself as the liaison. But Jordan Grace is the actual bridge connecting them. She was the one that first made the switch over. You know, like even like a year before in the Royal Rumble, it was the first. But like. There's a lot of...
So, I mean, if she's It is Ariana Grace. You're right. Okay. That was my fault then.
Also,
I was reading that article too fast.
23.
Too many graces.
23 was referencing Mance Warner and Steph DeLander.
So weird.
I just thought to be so strange.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
Ariana Grace.
Well, Mance and Sammy have a history.
That's true.
So they've had some pretty brutal matches. So I mean,
it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense with that. But just the Steph DeLander.
But didn't they say the 23 was just a date? It was actually just referencing January 23rd.
I guess.
Which
was yesterday.
It was when they were going to have these debuts or whatever. I don't know, dude. It's weird. I don't know.
I thought it was kind of considering how much they were pushing that. I thought it was kind of lackluster.
And it wasn't Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? With it not being Michael Jordan.
No.
You know?
And it's official that Mustafa did sign with TNA again.
Okay.
After having been there before. So then he is going after the main championship. So he is Joe Hendry's next target.
Hey now. Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Didn't expect that.
Dun.
If it's not Ryan,
gentlemen, I gotta
apparently
an early day.
Yeah.
Oh, we all have
take
to.
Care.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna get out of here in a second. Yeah.
And apparently JBL might be on the side of Joe Hendry after all.
Right, because he took out Matt Cardona.
Yeah.
The heck he did. Or maybe he just taking out everybody indiscriminately because he's mean.
Swervies, man. Swervies.
Yep.
So I would like to end Brent, I would like you to get some love, and I'd like you to give us a sign off or any words that you would like to say about the beautiful sport that we cover for 2 hours on Friday mornings.
I mean, look, as we tell everyone each and every week, this is some of the best times to be a wrestling fan. There is so much going on out there. It's hard to keep up with all of it, but we love bringing you all this great news and entertainment that we do each week for you all. And so, with that said, for David D'Lo Logan, Pablo Kano,
it's giving wrestling.
For Keith the Wild Man Miller.
What up?
And myself, Brent the Nightmare Ward, we wish you all a great weekend. You know, get ready because Rumble's coming.
We're going to have a big talk about that next week. Oh, yes.
That'll be on the tube, fam. D-Lo Show 96. We come at you live with NBA. And we coming at you with Massive Warfare.
And check out Most Excellent Podcast.
Most Excellent Entertainment. Thank you.
Most Excellent Entertainment Podcast.
And it would only be fair. He kind of dropped a little bit of a love to us last week as Pablo was a special guest on WBR Power Hour. Yeah. You know, so shout out to them. And couldn't sign off without saying we love you, Kish.
Next week's our last week on Kish, so tune in for that. End of an era.
And if I could end with a shot that I had to take out on another radio station.
We need to thank Tyler.
We all obviously have to thank Tyler. He's the hardest working man in show business. But
man.
I will preface this. People that listen know I'm a Washington Redskins fan, and I will say it as Redskins because that is our true name, and it's not racist.
That's right.
Bring it home to us. Bring it home.
So we are in the cusp of greatness. Literally the most amazing season of any rookie quarterback. The most upset story. A team that was supposed to be 6 wins at most, now on 14 wins and counting. Fighting the juggernauts that are the Philadelphia Eagles. My father, who is a staunch Redskins fan, has been for the longest time, got banned from all Philadelphia radio because of how much he goes back and forth with Philadelphia.
Makes sense.
Specifically, Sports Radio 94 WIP with Hugh Douglas and Joe Giglio. You are ducking the smoke, and I will come for you if you don't let him on.
That's amazing.
Make sure the disrespect is as loud as the forgiveness, because if you don't, you liked picking on us when we were the lowly Redskins. now that we're doing well, don't switch up.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
Obviously, my father's a hard person to talk to, especially when he's petty. But keep that same energy, as we say.
Yeah, man.
When the Pistons upset the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals, get at me.
Shout out to Tyler Martin. Thank you, brother, for everything you do.
ME Studios, baby. There's a Patreon. We're going to share it around. ME Studios has a Patreon now. You can get some exclusive content. You can get early access to the episodes before they're dropped on Spotify. That'll really come into play when we're not on Kish anymore. But yeah, we're gonna have a Patreon starting up. We may look into doing some Twitch streaming. There's a lot going on, man. So
beautiful time to be a wrestling fan, as we mentioned. And
yes, sir.
Yes, if you're not a wrestling fan yet, don't miss out. Don't be one of those bandwagon Commander fans that all of a sudden like us now. Follow wrestling. It's a lovely thing. It's cool. Wrestling is cool, and we make it cool.
It's always been cool.
All of you make us feel cool. We thank you.